What is going on, my friends? What's going on? My name is Ryan McMorris with Intentional Lifestyle, and welcome. You know what time it is. Welcome to another episode of Seven Figure Friday. We have a very, very special guest today. So if this is your first time, Intentional Lifestyle, and welcome. Friday, 1 second. You know what time it is. Let's get this thing on. Welcome to another. So it always does this. It's an episode of Seven Figure Friday. We have, all right, it's very, very special. All right. So without further ado, again, my name is Ryan McMorris, guys. Welcome to Intentional Lifestyle, where we help entrepreneurs live an amazing lifestyle where they can absolutely grow the business that you know you deserve. All right. So feel free to check us out at ilcuniversity.com for more information. If you want other episodes of Seven Figure Friday, just hop on our YouTube channel and you can find them there. Now, today, I have a very, very special guest on Seven Figure Friday, someone near and dear to my heart, who holds the crown of my very first online mentor. And I've known this person, this wonderful person, for an anniversary of 3 years, like last month. And let me tell you guys, the impact that she has had on my life and my career, and probably for many of you, and for many of you that don't even know me yet, impacting your life too. So it's my pleasure to bring the phenomenal Kate McShae. What's up? How are you?
Hello, Ryan McMorris. I'm doing wonderful. How are you? 3-year anniversary. Yay.
Amazing.
Exciting.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for being here.
Sure, absolutely.
I mean, man, again, I cannot say how impactful you've been just on my life and my career. I mean, man, did I get lucky 3 years ago stumbling across Kate McShae. So, guys, please let Kate know how much you love her. Again, let those emojis keep flying. Let the thumbs up keep flying. If she drops a nugget on you that you feel like is just like, press the share button. You know what I mean? Because not only can it help you, it can help people in your communities. It can help your team. It can help all sorts of people. So feel free to share this out, guys. And again, thank you, Kate. Connect with Kate after this. She's absolutely amazing. Guys, if you don't know who Kate McShae is, please take the rock that you were living under, slap a for sale sign on it, because you no longer need that rock anymore. It's not serving you in your life anymore. Get the rock out, list it on eBay, something, because if you don't know who Kate McShae is, you've been living under a rock. So I know one thing that for those that may be tuning in and don't know Kate, what your story is one that I actually share your story a lot still, even with like network marketing prospects. I share it with like customer prospects. I share your story a lot. So for those of you that or for the people out there that don't know Kate McShae, like just a little bit of a background on kind of like how you got started and like, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, sure. So let's see. I'll take you back. I'll do the brief version. If anybody wants to know more, just comment in more, connect with me, and then I can always, tell you more information. But basically, what started for me, it started back in 2012. I was still teaching. My husband and I were actually getting ready to pretty much relocate across the country. And before that, I actually had identified that I was getting burnt out in my second grade teaching career. And it was the first time in my life. And if any of you guys resonate with this, drop a 1 in the comments. I was not someone, how everybody always talks about like fire your boss, quit your job, because the job that you hate. I loved my job. I really did. I loved teaching. What I then made a connection with in 2012, though, was that I realized that it was the first time I realized I wasn't truly being compensated for the worth that I was giving out. And also it was the first time that I realized at the age of, I think I was 28 at that time, that I was going to burn out, and that the 30-year career that I thought was going to happen, that I thought my life was going to be revolved around, was something that I was starting to not be as positive about every single day, because I was tired and I was running myself into the ground. So my husband, Andrew, actually was the one who was in network marketing first. He was in affiliate marketing. He was doing internet marketing like way, way back when, because he was looking for multiple streams of income. And I went to him, and I pride myself in being a positive person. And it was one of the first times I went to him, and I just said, I'm not really happy right now. And I know that we're going to be transitioning and moving across the country. He was, we were moving across the country for his job. He was getting promoted. And I said, I don't know if I want to go and start from the ground up again. And I'm sure so many of you, if you can, just comment on me, like, know what that feels like to start from the ground up again in a career. I would have been at a brand new school, had to get recertified. And I said, I think I want something different. And he goes, well, I've been working on this, working on this thing called network marketing. And, I actually think you'd be really, really good at it. Do you want to come to this live event in Vegas with me? So that's where everything started for me. Fast forward, I spent 12 months in what I like to call stuck, despair, distractions, shiny object syndrome, lack of belief, any negative term, phrase, anything that anyone's been through. I probably did all of that in about my first, 9 to 12 months of leaving my teaching job that June. And then from June until about December was just a disaster for me. 2013, I made a commitment to myself and to us and to our business that I was going to go to as many live events as I possibly could, and that we would start taking action with video marketing. And so then the big thing that happened that year in 2013, as I went to, I think it was like we went to 8 live events, signed on for mentorship, definitely bit off more than we could chew. However, that mentorship allowed us to get a roadmap that then helped us from, I think, May of that year, focusing on video marketing and promoting one thing. And went from 0 to 6 figures in less than 12 months, multiple 6 figures, 3 months just after that. And then we had been doing multiple 6 figures for the years to come after that. And this will be our first year having a 7-figure annual income in sales. So it's pretty neat.
That's awesome. And now you're on 7-Figure Friday. It's like,
I'm on 7-Figure Friday. Yeah. So not just 7-figure collectively. I mean, you got to do it in a year. That's how you get on 7-Figure Friday.
That's awesome. I think one of the big things that sticks out to me there is that you really just said, hey, we committed, we buckled down, and we went to events. So you said you guys went to 8 live events in a 12-month span.
I'm pretty sure it was 8. And it was a fluctuation of different kinds of events. That was the other thing that I was really open to. I was open to expanding my mind to be open and coachable. I know, like you, Ryan, you played baseball. I was a classically trained ballerina, and then also picked up field hockey and lacrosse. And so I realized, I think the biggest thing for me that I learned from the event side of things was that I'm actually a very coachable person. And anytime I was successful in anything else in my life, it was because I had a coach. And I also just I basically surrendered to just not knowing everything. And I knew that if I went to a bunch of different kind of events, so I went to our company events, I went to internet marketing events, I went to network marketing specific events, all of these affiliate marketing kind of events, I went from the understanding of there's going to be these little nuggets. Like, I know they're not going to tell me everything I need to know, but if I listen to these specific nuggets and I get out of my comfort zone and go talk to people, which is actually surprising, is not one of my strong suits naturally. I'm a graduated natural introvert. And so networking events make me sweat. But what I can tell you is that at one of those marketing events, we got a 30-second tip from someone at that time who was like a top producer in the company at the event that we were at. And we were doing video marketing, and he said one thing, and then he was like, and I was like, we said, oh, that's what you do. And he goes, actually, that's what I recommend to most people. This is what I really do. And he gave like a little 30-second secret that literally took our business off the ground 2 weeks later.
That's crazy.
That's the crazy stuff. So that was like the commitment of just going to whatever kind of live event I could get to surround myself with as many people as possible was the most important piece of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know everyone probably out there is like, yo, what was the tip? Like, what did he say in 30 seconds that like blew your face off?
It was, he was teaching most people, at this time it was YouTube. It was YouTube video marketing. And so that was our strategy to get leads and prospects. And he was saying, you know, I teach most people to go for a lower hanging fruit, which means that, you know, if you search for how to make money online, there's going to be a lot of competition there. But it might be a lower hanging fruit would just be like less competition. So it might be how to make money online with quilting, you know, something like that. And so you could put out your video there and get some more exposure, but it doesn't have as much eyeballs on it. And he goes, actually, what we do is we do a balance of both. We try and hit the high competition, and then we also attack and approach the smaller competition too, so we can dominate both. And so we were looking at it and we were like, hey, we've been trying to just do all the low competition. What if we worked really hard at some of these higher competition ones? I wonder what that might do. So we got curious. And so then when we added that in and we did a mix of both, that's what actually changed everything for us. So the other big thing is that we actually applied what he recommended.
And do you think that like a lot of those nuggets that you talk about that were kind of coming from event to event to event to event, do you think that those had a big, I guess, a big influence on that little nugget being so impactful?
Totally. So the big change that happened was when we started committing to going to events, we also became very committed at what our intentions were before we got to an event. So what most people do is most people go and they're like, oh, I'm going to go to X event and it's going to be great. And I'm going to learn so much. When we switched our intention of like, at this event, I'm going to connect with these two people because I'm focused on video marketing. And those are the people I want to connect with. If I connect with other people, that's great. But these are my two people I want to pick their brains on. Or it might be, I'm looking for a future business partner. Like I can't do it all on my own anymore. So I'm going to personally network with people to connect with people to see if I, you know, vibe with anybody else's personality type to potentially have a business partner in the future. So when we set those different intentions, you're absolutely right. That's what just continued to build and to build and to build upon this. All of a sudden, then this 30-second nugget lands, and it's like everything else we had been doing, struggling with, you know, feeling like the whole world was going to cave in, all of a sudden changed because of all the things that led up to that moment. Absolutely.
Right. So I have a question that I really feel like could help the crowd. And by the way, I think I saw a familiar face on here. Tanya Liza's on here. Say what's up.
Yay, my Greece buddy. Wow. I missed the food, Tanya. I missed the food, my love.
I know Wes and I were like so jealous. We're like, oh.
It was a lot of fun. I recommend to any of you, if you want to travel Greece, definitely do it on like a smaller boat. We were talking about doing it like on a boat and then actually getting hotel rooms the next time, but this was really, really cool. And it was just a fun way for us to all be able to hang out and lots of laughs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. When you were telling Wes about the trip, I was like, we're going next time. Like next time.
Oh yeah.
Like we're going because we had reached out to Tanya and we were talking to Tanya. She's like, oh yeah, we'll be in Greece with Kate. And I was like, oh.
Well, that's the fun stuff. And actually, before we get into that next question, Tanya, so talking about power of live events, I met Tanya for the first time at one of those events in 2013. And that's so awesome. That's the other neat part about this industry is like the one thing I can recommend out to all of you, whether you're new or whether you've been around for a little while, continue to keep showing up because it's a lot smaller of a space than a lot of people might realize. And really, as long as you're a good person, you're a humble person, you work hard, and you support others, it actually, my tightest friendships now come from the space but it
Right.
all came from actually showing up and continuing to show up and produce. Top producers like other producers. And so that's a huge recommendation I can give you.
Man, that's big, because I think there's a big underlying message with that too. Like, especially as you get around other people, like, you can't help but get better, because you're either going to run away because you don't belong, or you're going to step up and start to really talk like that person, think like that person, do like that person, and you'll start to receive like that person. So I think that's big. Being a certified, graduated, double backflip, triple latte, introvert, and then getting into, like, literally mastering video marketing. I was actually telling one of my clients today how when I first started doing video, I was so crappy at it. But I said, at least I had Kate to kind of like mimic a little bit. So I was like, okay, if I didn't know what to say, I'd at least try to say what Kate said.
You used to talk really quiet and really slow. I remember it was like you were really, really quiet, and you were very systematic and methodical with your words. And now I hear you on the intro, and it's about to go down, or whatever you said, and I'm like, oh, there he is. Okay, that's the real Ryan McMorris.
The shell is completely gone now.
It's good.
But as an introvert, then literally deciding to master video marketing, I know there's a ton of people out there that want to do videos. They aspire to do videos. They aspire to get good at videos, and then all of a sudden they're like, boom, the introvert punches them in the mouth. So for you, how did you overcome the introvert tag and still get to a place where you mastered your video marketing?
Sure. So one really good book I will recommend out that I actually just finished reading, and I wish I had read when I first started out, is called Quiet, and it's by Susan Cain. Really, really great book on the reason that introverts are still needed in this world and how to embrace yourself that way. Because I actually thought for my whole life that I was an extrovert. I just couldn't realize the reason I was either so tired or so drained or had so much anxiety before going to, any kind of event or anything. And so that's just a book that I recommend for anybody, even if you're either living with an introvert, partnered with an introvert, or have kids that are introverted or might have introverted tendencies. Really, really helpful in just understanding it, and also understanding how to step out into your powerful space. Because really, introversion for me now, I understand it so much more. It's really about how you recharge, how you work best, but it doesn't mean you have to be limited that way. And I think that's a great segue into the video marketing side of it. The reason I chose video marketing was for two reasons. Number one, it scared the beep out of me. It did. I was absolutely petrified by it. The reason that I chose it was because I knew that it was going to be, I'm all about connection. And I knew that connection and connecting with people, one of the best ways that people connect is actually from seeing somebody else. So even if we're not like talking live, like you and I are now, I knew that that was going to be long-term the best way for people to get to know me and for me to actually educate people. Because when things turned around for me and we started to pick up video marketing inside of our business, it was when I made an alignment between my past on what I was good at, which was teaching, and what I was doing now, which was technically sales. And so how could I do it in a way where I actually thrived and I didn't feel as nervous? So here's a couple of tips on what I did. The first couple of videos that I had, and one thing, if I could go back and do it again, and just curious, and I can't see the comments, but if anybody can comment in how long it took them to do their first video or their first Facebook Live, just comment in and I'll tell you in a quick hot minute how long it actually took me to shoot my first video. And then Ryan, feel free to shout them out if you get anybody commenting in. So for me, the biggest thing that I learned was that I learned how I do video best. And a great tip for me, and you can't really do it with live streaming. However, if you're like just shooting videos, I love video Blitz days. because I've gotten really good at identifying what drains a lot of energy out of me, or where I have to exert a lot of energy because I'm just not naturally like a fired up person. I'm just more laid back. So I love video blitz days. And what those days are is when I would just take like Monday and I would have all of my content topics all lined up and I would just bang out 10 videos. I would be totally exhausted afterwards, but they're done. And that is what I learned is I got really, really in tune with what worked for me and what didn't. For some people, they could shoot a video every single day and just love it, and shoot content every day and love it. For me, it takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of energy. So that was one thing that I fixed. And then the second thing that I started to realize when it came to like, how do you get out of that comfort zone? When I was told, by one of my mentors, he basically said, well, you know, what are you worried about? And I was like, well, I don't know, like what I'll sound like, what people will think. Am I going to get a bad reaction? Is my family going to know like that I'm on video? Am I going to sound stupid? And he's like, who does that revolve around? And I went, oh, shoot, me. And I had to look at video as the fastest way I could make a connection and the fastest way I could impact people. So instantly like that, my whole business went from being egocentric, which was all about me, and everything was. If I reflect back, my resistance, and just so you guys know, if any of you have commented in earlier than 12 months to shoot your first video, then you beat me. It took me a year to shoot my first video. That's how much I resisted.
Yeah, Evan said it took her 2 months to shoot or to post her first video.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it took me 12 months and then 3 hours to shoot a 5-minute video. And for me, if I were to go back and I were to look at what I might do differently, and everything happens for a reason, the only thing that my hope would be is that I would realize the impact that I had sooner and how much I was just focused in on us and our business and, you know, what do I look like? And here's what I can tell you, people don't care. It's the message that you have to deliver to people. It's the content that you have to offer. And if you're on this call, you already know more than 99% of the people out there. And it got to the point of where I put it in my journal that it became so clear to me that it's like, if I don't shoot those videos today, what's the impact? Well, impact is my income doesn't increase, our life situation doesn't get better. And then I had to transition into and then all of those other people who are waiting for my message don't get it. And then their lives don't get impacted. And then their kids don't get impacted. And then whoever they would market out to don't get impacted. So when it's like, there comes a time in business when you can start to make that connection to the huge, massive ripple effect that you might have. And I know it kind of sounds crazy and it's higher level. I know that most of my people that we run with, that's where it starts to become this aha moment of my ripple effect could be so massive if I just allow it to happen. And the hard part is that most of the time you won't know how many people you impact. You just don't. But that's not the point of it, right? And so that's the reason that for me, video just became a non-negotiable. It became something that I knew needed to happen. And that's how we met, right? I think, we met through one of my videos. You called me. I still remember that first conversation, but we met through a video. So imagine if I hadn't shot that video, I'm sure, I have no doubt that you wouldn't have still come on strong and you're the person who you are, but you just don't know. And that's my challenge to all of you that are watching is who's not able to progress their life forward today because you're not willing to step up to potentially take some sort of criticism for something that you've done. And here's the deal. If you're out to serve people, criticism's going to happen and it's a good thing. Give yourself a pat on the back for that.
Yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. So like if you're out there and you're really in a place where you're not feeling consistent, like you're saying, hey, you may be too focused on yourself. And all of a sudden, when you really start putting your focus on other people, you almost have to be consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not about.
It's a great question. I actually have it up on my board, and I don't even really have to look at it as much anymore. But it's a good reminder. As I have, are you thinking obligation or opportunity? And for most people, when they're acting from a space of resistance, or you're finding yourself avoid things, or I'm just not, I'm not active in what I should be doing. Well, you're thinking of it from that space of obligation, like I have to do it, versus, and here's the deal, you don't have to do anything. Right? You don't have to run this business. You don't have to start this business. You don't have to keep moving it forward. There are literally no obligations. But then looking at it from that side of the opportunity, right? That's when most people then thrive, and they're like, oh, well, I have lives to impact today. Or, I have the ability to be able to expose my message to so many people. That's coming from that space of opportunity.
Right. That's huge. I mean, all of a sudden, when you give yourself a choice, you know what I mean? You give yourself power. Because you're actually choosing to do it, not saying, oh, I got to do it. Like, you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to go to work. Nope. You don't have to do anything but pretty much die and live, in a sense, But so all of a sudden, you take those two things off the table, your life becomes a choice. Yeah. And if your life is a choice, then you have power. And if you have power, you have unlimited possibilities. Before we get too philosophical.
That's the fun stuff that top earners like talking about, though, right? That's the fun stuff we like talking about, bigger picture things.
So we had a question earlier, and I thought it was a really good question. And this is something that the event that we were at in January, I can't believe it's almost January again, but I know you said, you know what, I used to struggle with stuff. And, Andrew would see me in the corner, balled up crying and but then it just became one of those things where the struggle was just less and less and less and less. So instead of crying for an hour, it was, 30 minutes and then 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden it's 0.2 seconds. You're like, oh, no, you're done. So in a sense, how did people start taking you seriously? And what did you do to set yourself apart, especially going through, I guess, struggles in the process of business?
Sure. So I think there's three things that I identify with setting not just myself apart, but Andrew and I apart, and just us together apart. And what kind of skyrocketed things is the first thing is that I accepted that I was like nobody else. And I accepted that everything I was trying to do in the beginning was me comparing myself to other people and comparing myself to how they did things, how they presented themselves, what they said, how they said it, and who I identified myself as. In the beginning, when I was first starting out, I identified myself as someone who needed to replace my income fast, and someone who needed to be a saleswoman and a businesswoman, and needed to sound like corporate, and needed to sound like I understood financials and all of that stuff. And when I allowed myself to just release all of that nonsense, because it was all stories that I was making up in my head that I thought I needed, and I allowed myself, and I'll never forget the first video I did that was just me being me, was how to get your swagger, something really, really weird and awkward. But I was talking about Beyonce and all this kind of stuff. And it probably never got any results. I don't even know how many views it ever had, but I remember that being a turning moment on me just saying, okay, if I keep shooting these kind of videos, 3 ways to get more highly qualified leads, and I talk like I'm a newscast, anchorman, I'm going to lose my mind. And so when I finally just allowed myself to release and be me, and know that there are millions of people who come online looking for something, and somebody's going to find me and identify with me. That was the first thing. The second thing that we did really, really well is we got, I'll leave it as the third thing, but the third thing is probably the most important one. The second thing is that we identified one exposure agent, and I'll give props to Ray Higdon. He was the first person that I ever heard talk about exposure agents. We at that time had our hands in a couple of different streams of income, right? Like, oh, we have our network marketing business, we have an affiliate marketing system, we have like this high ticket thing. And we were we kind of had it where it was like, oh, I have all these different options that I can offer out to you. And instead we picked one avenue, one option that we thought was the best choice for us with what we were trying to do in our business. And we went solely focused in on one marketing strategy, one offer, and that's it. And that for us, because I knew that if we could produce, and you can produce in whatever you want to do, if it's in your network marketing company and the exposure agent is you obviously rank advancing and then collecting an award on stage, that's exposure, right? You're getting exposure on a platform from someone else, another company that has, a bigger audience. If it's an affiliate system, it's the same thing. And that's what we chose. And we knew that if you want to get noticed and you want to get noticed by top companies, top leaders, produce for them. That's the biggest thing. And I know that that's what changed a ton for us, is that's what we did. We just literally put our heads down for 90 days and just like produced, outproduced, and just continued to keep producing. And then the third thing that I would recommend, highly, highly recommend, outside of anything else, is mentorship. And getting some sort of level of a mentorship, even if you can't necessarily afford to invest it immediately, then utilize someone's free stuff, then get somebody's paid courses, and then do whatever is humanly possible to get as close to someone who has the success that you want to have, so that you can learn to duplicate it. It's just the simple way of fast tracking results. And even if it feels like it's a huge investment to bite off immediately, what I can tell you is that if you're open and coachable, if you actually take effective action and listen to what those people say, then the knowledge that you get from those people will pay you back hand over fist every single time. Something like that. Phrases are not my expertise.
Your bank account won't be hurting. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
One thing that you mentioned, shout out to Ray. He does such a phenomenal job of explaining exposure agents. And literally, guys, if you go out and like the thought process is, I'm gonna go make these guys money. You know what I mean? Like, and then it takes the pressure off of you. It takes the focus off of you, and you're just like, you know what? Sorry, my fiance just came in and she's looking hot right now.
Hi, Wes.
So,
hey, I couldn't let him go and not come and say hi.
Hi, pretty lady.
Hey. Real quick, I'll let you guys finish. I just want to say thank you for
What do you want for dinner, Ryan? No. Sorry, what did you say?
I just want to say thank you for everything you've done for me also.
Aww.
And like every day for me. I love you so much, and I just really, really appreciate you. And I'm so honored to have you in my life every single day.
Gosh.
I knew
What are you trying to do to me?
I told myself I wasn't going to cry.
No, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
The first time I did my first video was at your event too.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. See, that's what I mean. The impact is so powerful. And I know you guys are impacting so many lives right now too. And I just think, the ability to show up and just do it, because I'm sure it was not fun, that cold January day doing it. But you did
in Arizona. It was supposed to be cold in Arizona.
I know.
I think I was shaking though because I was nervous, not cold. I was nervous. My mouth was all dry. I think I was shaking for 2 hours afterwards.
Oh my gosh. And now look at you. You're like on Facebook Live every single day. You close massive, multiple 5-figure sales. It's like nothing. It's just amazing.
No pajama or in pajamas. No, at your event, I'm like, well, I just ate, so my makeup or my lipstick isn't right. I can't do it. My powder, I need to freshen up. And now I'm like, whatever, no makeup.
Yeah,
cool.
Doesn't matter. Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. That's a huge, obviously, it's like Ryan and I were talking about it. you don't need to know who you impact, but anytime you hear it, it's just one of those things where you're like, wow, it's always nice. So I really appreciate it.
Of course. I'll let you guys finish. I love you.
I love you too. I thought she really was going to be like, so I got to ask you a question. What do you want for dinner?
I know, right? I was like, it's date night. So I was like, okay, come on. I was like, oh, we're almost done.
I swear.
Yeah, no, I was like, we're almost done, I promise. But yeah, again, though, I mean, exposure agents, if you go out and produce and you think like, hey, I'm going to make these guys money. Like that's my deal. I'm not out to make me money, because if I go produce for them, they're going to pay me anyway. Right. So it's like, I'm going to go out, make these guys money. And all of a sudden they're going to put you out, and they're going to put you in front of the world. And all of a sudden everyone's going to be like, oh my God, I love their story. They're awesome. And then boom, you can literally do anything you want because you've got this huge audience to monetize.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. And the cool thing is like, if any of you, if you've ever had that, like, well, what's my brand, or how do I position myself, or how do I look different? Like, drop a 2 in the comments, because I get it. Here's the powerful thing about exposure agents, though, is that you can utilize the exposure agent's mission, their message, what their philosophies are, what their training is. I like to call it being a highly paid tour guide. Like, that's your job, is you're the messenger of information for that company, no matter what it is. And then people just become attracted to you. So it's like, you almost have to take out that thinking in the beginning and just be good with the fact on, like, if you're promoting a marketing system, then figure out what their mission is, or what they market, or what they speak to. If you're promoting a company that's, health and wellness, and it's all about, skincare, and it's about, looking healthier, feeling healthier, or whatever it is, everything that you talk about, everything that you research, everything that you share can all be done from the perspective of what the mission is for the company that you utilize. So your brand just becomes instant, because you become an instant, highly paid tour guide, which is fun.
Right, that's awesome. I love that analogy.
Yep.
So last question. And you kind of spun right into it with the mentorship thing. One thing that I know I'm so appreciative of is you spent a lot of time with me that I know you didn't have to. I mean, I know there's still times now that, I'll hit you up and be like, yo, like, what's the deal here? And, you'll take 15, 20 minutes with me. When the student, it's always been said, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And obviously you couldn't take that type of time with everybody, right? You couldn't take the time with everybody, but you took it with me. And for those people out there that are seeking mentorship, they're seeking the time of someone that doesn't have all the time in the world, because we all know that honestly, the more successful you get, the more you have to guard your time.
Yep.
So what are the things that kind of stood out that may help someone else say, you know what, that I need to kind of go that route so I can get the attention of my mentors or coaches, so I can earn more of their time?
Sure. It's a really good question, because I know that you'll almost see every single mentor or successful person do something like that, or they may not even talk about doing it, but they do it. And there's typically a trend with the kind of person they do it with. And I saw that in you, and I know I've had mentors that have done the same thing for me. So some characteristics, or some ways to just be, right? Ways of being. Number one is when you reached out to me, it was never like, can I pick your brain? Or can I just, can I ask you a couple of questions? You were always very, very specific on, here's what I'm working on. Here are the results I've had. Would you ever be open to just giving me feedback on X? And so that's a results-oriented kind of person, right? And so that's one thing that I know I always look out for. The other thing that I look out for is how the person speaks and what kind of language they use. So I never once heard from you any of these words. I'm frustrated, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stuck, I just don't get it, I need your help, can you hold my hand and walk me through the process? None of that stuff ever came out of your mouth. And the reason that I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll hop on a call with you is because all of the language that you had, and for other people, I've done it with a couple of other people as well, all have language around like positive, focused, momentum-based language, where it's I'm working on this, or I'm doing this, or I've taken action with this, or I've invested in this, I'm focused in on this particular strategy, here's all the action that I'm taking. And never, even if it's you're not getting results or anything like that, there is not a mentor that wants to consistently hear from a mentee or someone reaching out to them saying, I'm just not getting results, I just don't get it, I'm frustrated, I'm not getting results. At some point in time, that mentor is going to be like, well, what are you doing about it? And so having momentum-based language is super powerful. And then the other side of it is just an overall sense of gratitude, where it's just, I could always sense with you that you just had this sense of gratitude, even when I know times were tough, right? I mean, because that stuff happens. It happened for us too.
Yeah,
there were some tough times, right? And I mean, that's all part of it. It's part of it for everybody. And so even though during tough times, I didn't hear you complain, I always heard you be incredibly grateful, giving me shout outs on Facebook or, through social media. Nothing I would ever ask, like, oh, sure, Ryan, let's hop on the phone. Just make sure you write a really good post afterwards. Never had to do that stuff because it was just natural. And so I think the more that, anybody who's listening, if you become self-aware and you're just looking for a moment in time of somebody to help, to get help from somebody, make sure that you have an agenda of what you are looking for a recommendation on, what you've already taken action on in that area, and then that all of your language is positive, driven, focused, and it's not a time for a pity party or anything like that, because those kind of people want to know results. And, can't promise that anything will ever come from those kind of things, because like Ryan said, the further up you get, the more valuable you have to be with your time. Another thing you can always throw out there is an exchange of value, a value exchange. So it may not be monetary, but it may be, hey, I don't necessarily have a funding right now in order to invest in your biggest mentorship package. However, are you looking for a customer service representative? Or are you looking for this or looking for that? Those are other options that you can do. But your job is to look to serve them and to give them a shout out. And then that just allows people to, you just start to see, it's almost like it's a hard hunch to explain, but you feel it in your gut where it is. There's this moment of, you know what, this person definitely has that potential and they're taking action. So why not? Why don't I help them take that extra step? Because I know that my hunch is that they're going to do something with it.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's big. I mean, I literally remember in my bedroom 3 years ago, you just said, just take action.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what else to do. I wasn't going to question, I wonder if she's lying about this.
Right.
I mean, you said take action. And I was like, okay, that's it. And that's huge. I mean, and it's been something that's trickled into relationships with our mentees and other mentors. And it's something that, again, I cannot say how grateful I am for what you're doing, or what you've done, what you're doing, what you'll continue to do, what we, our role and what you guys have going on. I'm so grateful for you, and so happy that I clicked on that video and said, I'm ready to go, because I was at a point where I was like, something's got to happen. So, Kate, thank you so much for being on Seven Figure Friday. Let people know, how can they connect with you? How can they get your stuff? How can they get into the Kate Circle and what you got going on?
Yeah, awesome. So I guess 2 different ways that would probably be the easiest would be just look me up on Facebook, Kate McShae, and you'll find my fan page. So if you like the fan page, that's one way. And then KateMcShae.com is the easiest way to hop on our website, get any free training that we have. And then if you wanted to get email updates from us there, you can also enter in your email there as well too, because we got some cool stuff going on.
We got some cool stuff going on. So
Ew,
definitely, guys, go like Kate's page. Go to her go to her website, bookmark it, get on her email list that we can get her updates. She has really fun emails. They're always fun to read. Make sure you do that. And also feel free to reach out to Kate too. Send her a message, send her a GIF hug or something like that. And tell her thank you for taking her time out and creating a ripple effect. You know, I mean, that's the true impact that you can really have. And again, you know, if you watch this video, guys, go out and create your own ripple effect. You know, that's how you keep it going, and that's how you truly say thank you for someone like this coming out and spending the time with us today. So, Kate, you enjoy your weekend, my friend, and we'll catch you later. Other half's coming over again.
Yay! All right, kisses. Mwah.
Love you.
Bye,
Thank you
Mwah.
for everything.
Love you too. Have fun at your date night, and bye everybody that's
I'm
watching.
a little changing.
No, she's changed like 4 times. We're not going out tonight.
Hey, it's still important to look good on date night. I get it.
And I have to feel good.
Yeah. All right. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. And I appreciate everybody that was watching. Love you guys too.
Hey, guys. Have a good one. Hey, guys, check out more episodes of 7 Figure Friday. Hop over to our YouTube channel, type in 7 Figure Friday, and check us out. We'll see you next Friday with another guest on the 2 Comma Club. See y'all. Bye, guys.